Greetings, everyone. Hawksblood here. All right, we got a lot going on. I just feel I listen to too much stuff on the internet and TV everywhere. And the problem is it's all lies. Sorry, I'm doing the best I can. I'm working on a lot of things for myself, but I'm doing whatever I can in the moment. I have a new book coming out next month. I do my UFO show tomorrow with Tina Bird. All right, but let's start with, if you read the title, there's a lot of names given to people in power. All right, or think they're in power, or think they're important, or think they're better than everybody else. But that goes into all the different fields, from doctors, lawyers, medicine people, spiritual people, religionists. Now, let's start with one at a time, because there's so many that I want to talk about. Let's start with the most probably populated one out of them all, religion. And we got priests, ministers, rabbis, all those kind of words. But who anoints them? Who gives them the credibility? Who gives them the name? Who makes them think that they have a title? Jesus never said he was God. And the Pope at that time, the religion that was against him, were fighting him tooth and nail. I mean, his one disciple became the first Pope. Sadly, it was corrupted over and over and over. But let's go back to the present. Hold on, I'm trying to get my screen fixed here. All right, there it is. So when Jesus was killed, many of his own disciples helped kill him. All right. Who gave Jesus the name God? Well, who gave Jesus the title and all the things that they said he said? Who wrote it all? All right, his disciples, all of them did not write. Only 2 of his disciples actually was able to even write. All right, and that's the first thing. But the second thing is, half of them didn't understand what he was teaching. Well, the problem with that, nobody did. And man took what they had in their little brain and made it into what they wanted it to mean. And then, all through history, create things to protect themselves. Remember, love did not exist. All right? And all along the way, going back further, compassion was a word. All the great so-called spiritualists and speakers were talking about consciousness in their terms. But I would give it a simple word, ego. Going back to the first religion, which was Hinduism, all right, well, there was animal worship and things like that, but I don't consider that a real religion. But after that, Hinduism was the first actual solid religion. They created their deities, which we call gods. Deities never were gods either. People have no understanding of truth. I don't think they want to. All right. Now, if a deity was God, it would be a whole different world right now. But if you know anything about Hinduism or all the stories based on Shiva, Durga, Kali, you would understand a totally different idea of what their God was. Hinduism was basically sex. Not making it up, people. Everything was sex. Kama Sutra, things like that. All right. Now, the power of sex is incredible in mankind's ego, but in reality, it controls people, makes people control other people, and it's all they want. In Hinduism, there's a couple of separations in their truth, and part of it is about reincarnation, which I'll get into. But reincarnation then, in 2 different aspects, if you were thinking about a bug when you died, you came back as a bug. If you're thinking about a fish and you died, you came back as a fish. One part of the Hinduism. The other part, well, you reincarnate. All right? That is no big deal. Coming back. Which is a real thing that happens. Most souls reincarnate. Over and over. People that went Hinduism and in that time frame are here today. Many of them, most of them. So we reincarnate over and over. Let me try to move this camera just a hair. Over and over. But if you look at the things around it, the way they eat, the way they did this, that, everything has a reason. Even when they stopped eating cows and things, there was a reason for it. And it wasn't a spiritual reason. I'm going to go into different aspects before I just try to link them all together, which I usually do. All right. Hinduism, all right, they have many deities. But after you follow it and read over and over what they did, what happened, and what was going on, you realize it had to come to an end. And it did. But how did it end? Well, deities started pulling back. They realized their game plan here wasn't that great. All right. And as it was going down, aliens came down. People don't want to believe the truth, but that's basically what happened. Now, the whole concept that aliens created us is the biggest bull story you could imagine. And who wrote it? And who can prove one aspect of that? All right. We're nothing like aliens. They wouldn't create something better than they are. Sorry. They're high tech, yes. That doesn't make them spiritual or aware of anything important. And that's a very important word. Because when we go into history, 90% of it is lies. Small parts of truth are twisted. All right. If we go back to cowboy days, they were just shooting each other and it was okay. Well, let's go back to beginning of like George Washington coming to the United States. He built his headquarters in New Jersey and New York. All right. Basically, his house was built in Harlem. But he was able to see the East and West River. But who was he? What was he? Was he a spiritual person? Okay, how did presidency get created? I'm going to tell you a couple of little things that people should know when they go to vote. The Constitution was created only to control people of the United States. It also allowed people to kill Native people, which is totally ridiculous. George Washington and Jefferson both were the biggest Native American killers in history. 50 million Native people were killed in 200 years. But again, George Washington had his headquarters there. But he had abilities, and people would call him God if they knew that. He had the ability to do remote viewing then. All right? He was able to go out of his body, look over the field, see where the army were, what they were doing, and then he could fight it. Much better than if he didn't. But here's the thing that most people don't know, not in the UFO world, not in the government. It causes great karma for anyone that does it. I don't care who you are. If you do remote viewing, it goes against the spiritual law of this reality. And if you don't know what it is, I'll tell you one of them. The law of non-interference. No person, no soul has the right to interfere in another one unless they get invited into it. All right. Don't believe me. You don't have to. I'm just putting the truth out there. If you have some kind of consciousness and with separation from soul and all those kind of abilities going on inside you, you'll get the truth. You'll hear it. Truth doesn't ring true for most people because it doesn't fit the programming that they have. Getting back to the beginning of time, when we move into Egyptian time frames and the Mayans, the Aztecs, all right, who were their gods? Who were their leaders? Who were their controlling people? I'll tell you the fact, it wasn't God. And it wasn't normal people. All their teachings, I don't care who says what about pyramids and all that stuff. None of it can help us today. Or will. Or the grid lines, the this, that. The lines are getting screwed up every day. The earth's moving, changing, the sun's changing everything. All that ideas of, oh, the pyramids can do this, that, and what? Who lived in the pyramids, people? Why did they make them so big? All the simple little questions they can't even answer. And they want to say pyramids are important. To giants maybe at one time. But the little people were slaves always. I mean, yeah, if you would know the true stories about the giants, they were mostly killed by little people. I mean, there's only one story in the Bible, David and Goliath, but they took the book of Enoch out because it was all about the giants. But they weren't good people at all. There was no good people on planet Earth, and that's why they keep getting taken out. But aliens are the ones that are responsible for everything that's going on, not creating us. Now, I mean, in the world of the UFO world, and people like Zecharia Sitchin talking about the Anunnaki, a race of beings that created mankind. No, they did not. I mean, now names are used of certain real things, but twisted to mold it into man's ego and thinking. Right? The most important, my screen went out, but the most important thing in those time frames, in the beginning of the human race, was thought the Atlantean. All right? Not this storybook one, because that was another ridiculous lie. And all right, before I go any further into all this, I'm aware of all my past lives back to Atlantis and one before it. All right? You don't have to believe me. I mean, you could believe who and what you want. But when in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all those names, right? Peter was a big disciple. Paul never met Jesus physically. He had a vision. And everybody, which is 2.5 billion people, believe that story. So if I tell you a story, it's nothing. But that's because you don't understand truth or where it's coming from or why. So going back to that point, when people talk about that, reincarnation was real. Jesus taught it. Not that it was a thing that we were supposed to do. It was a thing we were not supposed to do. But people didn't understand the word that Buddha brought out called karma. Jesus didn't use it the same words because the people didn't understand much. All right. And that being, well, when Jesus said, my Father, he couldn't use God. Nobody knew what a God was. And when I say my Father's house, nobody knew what heaven was. Death, people didn't understand death at all. What he was teaching, the most important thing Jesus ever taught, was why he came here. And it wasn't about saving your sorry ass. Not at all. Oh, protecting you. From what? Your ego? That's the only thing you need protection from on this planet. All right. So when Jesus was teaching, he was teaching something that nobody before him, in any point of history, any religion, any place on the planet, was teaching about a real God. There were many gods, all deities and angels, but not a God, a real God. So there's about 135 deities in Hinduism and Buddhism. But when we go into aliens, basically there's only about 9 that affect this planet in many different ways and have. There's people that talk about the pyramids on this site and everywhere else, ancient aliens. Pyramids didn't help any race survive. So why would we think it could help us survive now? It's like saying get the car of the 50s or the 20s or whatever is going to be better than the car we have right now. Why go backwards? Why go into past history when basically everything mankind did was wrong? Man hopefully learns by mistake, which isn't true. Because man's only desire, and I'm saying this from the highest truth, that you want to believe it or not, Man's only desire is to create a better toy, T-O-Y. Nothing else. Not to create something spiritual. They don't even know what the word means. Not to create peace and compassion worldwide, but to create a better toy. Musk is all about toys. Anybody that invents things, it's about toys. But what put an Allen wrench into the whole system was Mr. Tesla. In the 1900s, he was creating a lot of serious, dangerous things. Everything he created will help destroy this planet, not make it better. I mean, a Tesla car sounds great and things like that, but I'm talking about when Tesla invented an earthquake machine. In 1900, he created time travel, people. Oh, you're not going to get to do it, but the government does and did. All right, I knew a person personally that worked on it. All right, real fast, he was killed. But again, he did a show with Jesse Ventura. And if Jesse Ventura runs, people, you should vote for him. He's the only one in the United States, really, that exposed more things than anybody else did in the United States. Underground cities, FEMA camps, the HARP system. All those words, which are the most deadliest, dangerous, and bad things going on the planet. All right. He showed the home of the New World Order inside the United States. All right. People, you want to vote for people that know nothing, have a big ego, and actually do nothing. Age is critical. I'm old. I'm getting there. All right. But I did things all my life to find the truth, not to be egotistical and famous or any other word. I could have been. If I wanted to be rich, I just have to lie to you right now. Tell you I'll wave my hand over and you'll be healed. Your ego will make it happen. People that follow psychics give their energy over to that person. And when they do that, they believe it's the person doing it. Nobody on this planet has that kind of power, people. Nobody. It's the mind. And the mind only can control the body. The mind cannot control soul. Soul, the being that you truly are, that stepped into this body to use it for a while. All right? Nobody can control that. All right? Now, a person can control your mind, like Hitler did to a country. And I studied hypnosis. I was doing it for a long time. I went into all kinds of things like psychic implant removals, past life regression, and all that. I was the first person doing it. I don't even believe anything I say. And it's not about that. It's about what you accept as truth, what you believe as truth. Who's your God? Why are you here? What are you going to do when you die? What are you supposed to do in your life? All those things are lies man created in a called a belief system. So when we talk about religion, we talk about Catholics and Protestants. And they have always been fighting. I mean, Catholics keep Jesus on the cross. Protestants take Jesus off the cross. It doesn't matter. He was killed, period. And many of his own people helped kill him. So that's not a good way to start a religion. But we go further back to Moses. Oh, you know, all these things about how old the person lived. Who wrote a calendar down how many years Moses actually lived? Who knew? He lived more than everybody else. So how can anybody else keep track of it? And a lot of things he said, like one, he didn't like the 10 Commandments. So he wrote 63 commandments that are ridiculous, showing you where his ego went. And this is all about ego. Man and ego and power. Creating titles for themselves. Queen, king, dictator, ruler, president, vice president. All right. Then we go into all these priests, ministers, rabbis. All right, words. UFO investigator. Ghost investigator. Investigator. Anybody's an investigator that looks at something. Somebody that's the top investigator. There's no such thing, people. Not publicly, anyway. Not all the people claiming those titles. I'm going to go into a couple of names. I don't do any show for publicity. I don't do it to make money. I don't do it to lie. The only thing I can do is put the truth out there. You can either accept it or not. You have a choice. But then again, if you don't accept it, look for the truth. Don't listen to the lies. 90% of everything you learn is a lie. Every story you hold is probably maybe 10, 20% true. There's no true stories about the native people. And people still go, oh, you're native? Oh, I danced with powwows all around the United States. And there's no real Indians left. I mean, they would talk ignorant, mothers and children, because mankind in the United States classified them as demons. So it was okay to kill them. The same as Moses, when he came off the mountain, he called all those people demons. So he had 2,000 of them killed. He was the most evil black magician to live on this planet. If you listen to all his 63 laws that he created for mankind to live by, read them. He was the highest black magician. And when the difference between a black magician and a white magician is black magicians kill people. White magicians do not. Moses, everything he did ended up killing lots of people. He would blame God. He would blame anything else except himself. But he was the ruler of his thoughts, his mind, and actions. Not God. All right. So when he went out there and did all these miracles, it killed children. He probably had more people killed in his lifetime than anybody else did. And he's one of the most respected people in the Bible. Well, the Old Testament anyway. Who is he working with? Who did he really work with? What did he know about a real God? What did he teach about a real God? Nothing. Read his commandments. All right, the 10 Commandments are simple. He didn't come up with them himself. The rest of them he did. Nothing in the 10 Commandments hurts people. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt honor your mother and father. I mean, they're only half of the statement that was supposed to be carved out, and he couldn't even do that. But all of them, Sunday would be a good day to worship, but people don't do that either. But all the little things in the 10 Commandments do not hurt anybody. All the ones he created after that hurt everybody. They can't live by them. The Hasidic Jewish people supposedly live by the 63 laws of Moses. They can't name them, first off, and they're all pretty pathetic if you go over them. Now, let's take it into a Muslim point of view. Muhammad meets an angel. Angels are not teachers. They never were. They bring a warning. That's what they do. They're not going to sit there and teach you. So when he said he met Gabriel, how did he know it? His brother told him, you know who you work with? Gabriel. Read it. Read the Quran. Read what he actually is supposed to be taught. It's contradictory. Read them all. I mean, what is it, like 34 quotes or whatever, how you want to word it. But every third one contradicts one, two before it. Angels do not have to lie, cheat, steal, tell stories, unless it's a demon. Demons like doing that. Angels don't. They already fell from a higher place to a lower place. All the angels, including Lucifer, people. Lucifer's not the devil. Satan is the devil, people. If you get that straight, you might understand things. I mean, these cult groups, they follow Lucifer. They're following their ego. You can manifest energy, but demons like to move into that energy no matter what it is. And if anybody really thinks they channeled Lucifer down into this planet, I guess he could be put away for a long time, and he might think he's in heaven. But the stories you get fed, are complete lies. Religion is a lie. Jesus didn't come here to create a religion. The Egyptians, what they taught, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bring them all together. The Egyptians, every day there's new hieroglyphics and everything else. Look at them. Look at them all. Well, this shows an alien ship. Okay, they were being led by aliens. The aliens didn't make them. Now, aliens have no clue to God. And I'm telling you straight out, not one race does. And they're coming here because we are the only race that do. But we can't even accept it ourselves. Sorry, I wish we could. If mankind accepted God, a real God, and realized they are accountable to that, the world would be changed tomorrow. But now, New Age thinking, we are all God. We are all one. You are not. If I was one with everybody on this planet right now, I'd blow myself up. And I'd say, God, destroy my soul. But if we were all one, that's super crazy. You're linking yourself to every rapist, murderer, killer, storyteller, liar, abuser. All those words. You want to be part of that and think it's part of you? You made it happen. I didn't make it happen. Some person with a sick ego did. Some parent that beat your child up made it happen. Abuse is what destroys reality, young or old. And I'm trying to tell people, I got a new book coming out for women only about protection from man's ego, which that's all they have. Ego. Thinking they're better. They have always thought they were better than women. As far back as you want to go, women was taken out of Adam's rib. Another stupid, ridiculous story. Soul steps into a body. It has nothing to do with the body in the first place. And your soul, you're not the body. If I cut your head off, your soul is there. Where it goes is based on your karma, not mine or anybody else's. Just take another body if you have to come back. Male or female, you don't have to come back the same. And you don't come back the same person. The Egyptians were dead wrong about everything they put in hieroglyphics or paintings on the wall, whatever you want to say. All the ideas about reincarnation, all the things they did were dead wrong. I was there. They were ignorant. You don't do anything to the body, take the brain out, break the jaw, and all those kind of things. Embalming has nothing to do with the soul. And if anybody would really think that a soul would come back into a diseased, ancient piece of dust, are they really that brain dead? Yes, they were. To believe aliens meant they had no awareness. Sacrifice was created after Atlantis was destroyed. Guess who was programming? Not God. Okay, let's go back. Not the deities. There were alien races coming here. 3 of them. They reprogrammed mankind to be killers, eat animals, and keep women as slaves. That was programming, fed to men, and they never let go of that. Women were never accepted as a whole thing, even until Jesus was killed. Women were still slaves to their husband, or however you want to word it, which sadly most of them still are. They have to go out of their way day and night, wherever they go, to please man. You think a woman really has to worry about how long her eyelashes are, how big she is, and this, that? No, but it's programming over programming. When I was little, there was a book coming out. Morals, I think, was the title of it. Came out every month. I had to get all my money together to buy it. But it explained how morals changed. And it showed how a woman had to go from this to that to be accepted. A normal woman, as far back as you want to go, they all look the same. They weren't 36, 26, 24, 36. None of them were. The younger girls were pretty healthy. But, women in those days were slaves and they had to do this, that, and the other thing. They couldn't keep that kind of a body. But they were slaves, married or not. Other countries, women have to have 3 husbands, or vice versa. I mean, the different countries have different morals about that. I mean, sex with children and all those kind of words are horrible, but it's accepted through time and different beliefs and systems. But you know what's missing? God. Ego and God do not go together. We have to have an awareness and a slight ego of like, we're alive, we're in a body, and we could do things with it. But you know master, you know God, you know controller. We don't have the right to control other people. Nobody does. The president says everybody, all kids 17 have to go out and kill people. They have to do it. Or what? They're put in jail. Luckily, when Vietnam was happening, they ran up to Canada. People that didn't want to kill people. It's called karma. Just because somebody told you to do something and you do it, that's called karma. When Jesus talked to his disciples, and he told them all, you're all going to deny me, and they all did. They wouldn't give their lives up. Jesus says, give your life to God, you'll have eternal life. They didn't hear that either, did they? But they were all killed, except Mary Magdalene and Thomas. I can tell you, I was friends with Mary Magdalene, whether you want to hear that or not. She was like Jesus was. She had all Jesus's abilities. But she didn't give herself a title, and religion didn't give her a title at all. The most spiritual woman to ever walk this planet is still down in the bottom of a Catholic church. Not even mentioned in a Protestant church. They got all these murals of everybody on the walls and everything, and it's always Mary, the mother of Jesus, giant halo and everything else. She gave birth to a child. She never did anything else. She followed Mary Magdalene around like a puppy. Didn't have any powers or abilities. Mary Magdalene did, and they'll never admit any abilities that she had. How is she the first person to meet Jesus? How is she had to finish teaching the disciples what Jesus was trying to teach them? You can't teach somebody something you don't know. Getting back to speakers. How did they get paid lots of money to talk and preach and lecture about things they have no clue? What I'm talking about, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, the Dalai Lama, the Pope. All talk about religion or awareness. They can't talk about God. Not one of them. I mean, the Pope will say Jesus in God's name, but you can use a name and not know a thing about it. The Pope had to hire 1,500 people to do exorcisms because Catholics couldn't do it. If you watch the original movie, The Exorcist, watch it if you never did. It's a real story. It wasn't a girl, it was a boy. All right. But 2 priests died during that and all that. It was real. But just saying Jesus, this, that, and the other thing, you can't talk. It's like saying Superman, take them away. Batman, take them. Green Hornet, call one of those creatures, people, entities, cartoon characters, whatever. They're not going to do anything because they can't. So when we talk about who was in power, ego. Man was never. Man still isn't. Man is destroying planet Earth. Now, people in power, government, they do not talk about the real things that are causing global warming. They won't, because they're doing them all. All right? Now, Al Gore was paid lots of money to create the idea of global warming. He exposed where it's happening. He never exposed how to stop it. Some of the things weren't even being used when he created the word even. But technology that the government uses is destroying the planet. And it has been. Now, when Atlantis was destroyed by a weapon, and all the Egyptians and Mayan countries and all these different periods of time, those people were killed. Some were taken. Aliens like taking people. Some for food, but mainly for robots and puppets to use on their planet to play with, whatever. Man was never important to any alien race to take back to their planet. All right, which you think anybody in the UFO world is going to talk about that? They have no clue. They never dealt with an alien, never met with one, really, never could prove they met one, really. All right, and you listen to people like Richard Dolan, all the people from Ancient Aliens. Well, I think, and I think, and I think, and I think, and I think. Who cares what you think about? I think the world should be at peace. I think we all should be loving each other. We all should not have guns. I think a lot of things, but that's all it is. When people go on about these people in power and give them energy, Trump, Biden's realized the other thing. The president is under control by people. Congress control basically more than the president really does. Now, if the president wants to push the button to blow the planet, he can. Why isn't Congress can say, oh, we can push the button? See, there's one little thing that they keep control over. But why can't the Biden do what Trump would do? Get them all out of the White House. We don't want them. Change them, move them, fire them. We can't change Congress. As a people, human beings in the United States, we should be able to vote a new Congress in, all under the age 50, even 45. Kennedy was the youngest president, and he was taken out because he had too much brain power over the ignorant people trying to control him. Presidents have to do what they're told to do. They're given a script. They didn't even write the script most of the time. Kennedy's speech was one of the greatest speeches I ever heard. Read it. It made me cry the first time I read it. And why was he killed? I'm not going to get into the whole aspect aliens were involved with everything that goes down on this planet. Killing and all that. There's reasons for it. And who does all that? Two people? The Biden, Putin, these Chinese people, Japanese people in power give the orders to kill millions of people? Do you realize you're in a sick world, a sick planet? All right, this is hell. Jesus talked about hell. We got to get out of it. Not we're going to go into it if we're bad. All right, now people in power. People that speak. When these people go out and get paid like a person in the UFO world, has no clue, never saw an alien, never was next to a UFO, gets paid $20,000 to be the main speaker at a UFO conference, and he knows nothing but other people's stories. I think that's sad. If you're a speaker, you shouldn't have to have a piece of paper there all the time to read what it says. First off, like president and all those kind of people have to do. But when you go out and speak, where's it coming from? Your ego? When I talk, I don't have to think. It doesn't come from my brain. It comes from what is called awareness. Not consciousness, awareness. And the one thing is, if you're aware of spirit and soul, you're aware of more than most people on the planet are. When you talk to a doctor, a lawyer, and this, that, and the other thing, what are they? What makes them better? What gives them a degree? Well, I studied it. Now, let's take a psychiatrist or a psychologist. What makes them think they know more about a person? Well, this person did that, so they have to all be doing that. A mass killer. Why do they do it? They're still trying to figure out what makes a person tick. They took Jack the Ripper's brain and tried to cut it up and analyze and see what made him kill people. And they're trying to do that with people and things. Realize there's other things that people do not admit to or face or believe is a reality. Talking about demons, Satan, entities, they're proving it's all real. On all these shows, watch any one of them. And these videos coming out with ghosts walking through the pictures and stuff. It's kind of real if you want to look at the truth. If you want to hide from it, you can. What are we dealing with? Now, people in power, control what you think. I mean, they control what they think, but they also control what you think. And they want to keep everybody from focusing on anything except the truth. Why the government came out with a new word, unidentified aerial phenomena. You know why? Because it takes your attention from a UFO and an alien to phenomena, everything. Oh, it could be anything. So it's taken away from our focus, allowing us to focus on something and putting a big block in our brain, like it could be anything. Anything could be anything. You could be dreaming right now. Can I prove it? See, we're so far from the truth, so programmed to believe all the lies. What spiritual people do you know on this planet? Name one. Think about it. Write it down on a piece of paper. Tell yourself, this person's spiritual. Why? What does it mean? Or they tell us to love each other. Wow, what an idea. Let's love each other. Does it affect anything? Does it change anything? Every spiritual person, every religious person says, oh, world peace, world love, compassion. Really? Great words. Can they do anything to make it happen? Are they doing anything to make it happen? No. Where do you stand on any of this? You have, well, I'm spiritual. Really? Why? What do you do? What makes you spiritual? Well, I was a drunk and then I became religious. And what's that mean? You follow a programmed idea? Now, what makes you religious? Well, I go to church on Sundays. Going to the bathroom, going brushing your teeth. Does that make you spiritual? Action doesn't make you spiritual. Not in the physical body. Physical body can't do spiritual things. I'm going to give you a clue. We had 32 psychic abilities in Atlantis. Nobody had to talk. Nobody could lie. Nobody could cheat. Nobody would steal. Nobody killed. Nobody ate animals. It was an incredible place. It was the Garden of Eden. The real Garden of Eden. All right? Aliens didn't like that. They're not loving beings. They don't have compassion. They don't have feelings and emotions. So what did they do? Well, we can't let them go on because we want these people as slaves. Well, they destroyed Atlantis and they reprogrammed mankind to become killers. And we have been ever since. The gladiator time frames always existed. They cut it for maybe 60 years in all of history, but then it went back right back to gladiators and all that. People programmed to believe violence is exciting, fun, enjoyable. Seriously. Boxing today, I was a boxer when I was young. For reasons. Not because I wanted to beat everybody up, because I wanted to beat my father up. But again, we learn things for certain reasons, but we twist it and mold it into whatever the ego wants it to be. Making money. Whatever it is, it's about making money. Now, the other thing is, since people aren't too spiritual, and they have to take up hobbies like climbing mountains and things like that, jumping out of a plane, it's called cheap thrills. A thrill that helps them separate the body from who they are. Meaning understanding themselves as soul. Because they can die real simple on a lot of different bold things happen. All right? But the cheap thrill of knowing that it's close to death makes your energy go crazy. So it's a cheap thrill. But the idea of creating that to go longer, all right, drugs and things like that, you can get high for 24 hours, 36 hours. And it's escaping this physical body and hallucinating, dreaming. And there is a point when you can experience the true self, soul, outside of the body, which is the most important thing you can do on this planet. Any person here, that is the most important thing they need to learn. Nobody can make you do it. Nobody can teach you to do it. They can give you techniques to work with. But it's you that have to do the work. Not the Pope, not the Dalai Lama, not the Chopra, Eki told us, oh, we're all one. We're the best we are. You always are the best you are, because that's the best you are. To think you're going to become better because you're going to say, I'm better than who I am? No. No, you just tell yourself, I need to get a job. So you got and get a job. Oh, I got to go eat. So you eat. I mean, telling yourself to do things that you have to do no matter what, or should be doing. Oh, you got to breathe. No, the mind tells me to do that by itself. But these so-called speakers that go out there, mainstream, getting paid tons of money to do what? Like Deepak Chopra. He's one of the richest people in the United States because of Oprah. All right. He's a doctor, but he's a New Age doctor in my viewpoint. And he combines it with Hinduism, his religion, which is an offshoot of Hinduism, really. But it's meditation. Meditation is not the answer for anything, people. You could believe it, and everybody, even all these other people, oh, close your eyes, relax, tell yourself, yeah, you're telling your body to relax. You can't tell your soul to relax because it's always an aware entity and alive. It doesn't need the body. And when it learns that, it leaves it. So in all my teachings, all my things I did, I never said I'm a spiritual being. Because I'm not. I'm in hell. I'm in the body. I don't become spiritual until I leave it. You can't be spiritual here. Spiritual beings don't live in hell. They don't watch people die, starve, and all those things and sit there smiling. I don't laugh much because there's nothing to laugh at. The world's sick, getting sicker every single day. And it's so great. But it's great to believe certain things. You know, I want to bring up a person who I think's, to me, an incredible person. I'm going to just say the title, Wonder Woman. All right? For a woman to get respect is incredible. To be equal to a man is incredible. Because that didn't happen forever. In the old days, women were slaves and victims and just sex objects or whatever. And they still are, most of them. But to be able to help women rise above that. Well, that's why I'm putting my book out for women only. Because women need to realize laws are ridiculous on the books that are around the United States, need to be changed. All the laws pertaining to sex, rape, and all those kind of words, and put them together. All right? And what's equal in court, in marriage and divorce, and all those words? It should be equal, not men have the power over. And believe it or not, they still do. In most cases. You know, like even in a divorce, whoever has the most money gets the child. Not whoever is the best parent, but whoever has the most money. And that only means corruption. Money leads to corruption. People that go out and speak to make money. I don't. I pay for the show. I've been paying for this show for 3 years. I paid for another show I did. I did a show with TJ Morris for 12 years. Never made one penny. I don't charge. I can't charge for giving truth out. Jesus should have charged everybody he gave anything to. He'd be a multimillionaire. But, you know, that's why spiritual people are not rich. So, again, people, if you're listening, tell every rich asshole you know. Sorry. If you are rich, this is what you should listen to. Jesus said it 3 times in the Bible alone. He said it many other times, but in the Bible it's written 3 times. It's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Why? Ego. The thing that runs man in general. The toys they play with is all that matters. If my car is fast, I want to make one faster. If I can go to Mars, I want to go further than Mars. Why? We can't take care of this planet. We can't work out friendships on this planet. And you think aliens are going to let us go through the universe? Do you really believe that, people? Oh, they're loving. They're not evil. Stephen Greer, one of the most evil people in the UFO world, ridiculous liar, storyteller, destroying anything that we can move forward with when he goes in front of Congress. And, well, it's a tic-tac. Oh no, it's a real ship. Oh, but who's driving it? They don't get into the details. Like we know all that. He thinks he's creating something new. Well, the government has to tell us what they did. No, they defended the planet. People, we have wars in space. We have wars on this planet with aliens. You think they should brag about it? Do you want to know that you're really living in Star Wars and play things like that? Really? Are you ready to fight for anything? No. Oh, yeah, I want to fight somebody in the ring and make money. No. Are you ready to fight for God, truth? No. And it's sad. Bad things are going on more in churches and temples and things like that than anywhere, even in Buddhism, Hinduism. The sex problems are incredible. Even in the native nation, nobody's above the law. The religious law, the spiritual law, and the ridiculous ego law. Sorry. All right. When I met many people in different religions, I studied 14 religions to see if anybody had a clue about a real God. They don't. Nobody does. There's 2 religions out of 2,000 that deal with an aspect of a real God, which is important. If you don't realize there's a real God, there's no way you're ever going to get communicating or understand it or anything else about it. So, in all these religions, it's about what Jesus did, what Moses did, what people did. They didn't do spiritual things. The only one really, that had a word that we use, not we, people in the speaking world, oh, I went through ascension. Nobody went through ascension alive today. I almost went through it, close to it, but I didn't go through it. I wouldn't be here anyway. But again, when you attain that, you are given 32 psychic abilities. Jesus never used them all. Neither did Mary Magdalene. But she survived and got out of the country, went to another country, and started teaching. And then in the Knights of Templar were created for her. All right? Thomas made it to India and started teaching Jesus' teachings to Hinduism. How much they accepted of that, Hinduism to me is pretty bad. Because it's all sex. There's nothing else in it. Kama Sutra energy and all those words that they use. Tantra and all this. Guess what? It stimulates the brain. It stimulates the body. That's not soul. All these speakers have no clue from the separation of soul and the body. Now, to even make it worse, all these people writing books, which I do, tell great stories. They have one experience, whatever it is, and suddenly they're spiritual. They're aware. They're this, that, and the other thing. I had 5 death experiences. I spent 45 years traveling out of my body. I met with deities, angels, Satan. I mean, I could go on and on. I was next to a Bigfoot. It's all real, people. How much you let it into your life matters, because whatever you don't, you will come back in another lifetime to deal with it. You have to understand what soul really is. It's not this body walking around eating and having sex. No, that's not what it is. And sorry to tell all the people that are listening, when you go past the astral plane, guess what's removed? Your genitalia. Wow. You're no longer male or female. You don't need to be. Because you're not going to have sex and create children. Soul is a live entity now. It doesn't need anything else. But people don't want the truth. They want to believe Jesus is going to wave his hand over us and save us and bring us somewhere and all this, and sit there talking in heaven to all your family. Why would you want to do that? There's nobody in my family now that I would want to sit there for the rest of eternity to talk to. Not even for a year. All right? Some people say, well, I want to stay with my family. Good for you. You had multiple families, people. Everybody did. Do you care about one other family that you had in any other lifetime? Why not? When you die, it's going to be the same thing when you come back in the next lifetime. Oh, this is the most important family. Speakers don't tell the truth ever. I haven't met one. Even on reincarnation. They're only starting to touch the tip of the iceberg on that. And then we got more people teaching remote viewing, which is evil. I learned many things about it when I was younger. I was also a high priest when I was 16. I challenged every so-called high priest in the neighborhood, the mob, and everybody else. And I hate to say it, they were all afraid of me. You know why? Because I knew a little more about God than they ever did. You can't become a black high priest and understand God. You can't. You understand Satan, and you follow his guidelines and live by them. People, there's so many things happening with these speakers coming out and brainwashing people. I was 12 when I met Kreskin. He was like the most famous hypnotist in the United States at the time. And then I met him again a year later. And then I started doing hypnosis at 13. By 14, I had it pretty well down. I had every friend of mine hypnotized with a word. I could say one word to any one of my friends and put them in a state where I could tell them to do whatever I wanted them to do. For real. Ask all my friends. They were all afraid of me by then. And one of them locked himself in the house. He goes, I'm not coming out until you take this spell off of me. But hypnosis is not a good thing. You're controlling somebody's mind. If it's used wisely, and very few hypnotists know how to use it wisely. I'm not going to go into that. That should be a whole discourse or lecture I should do. Because it's abused, and I guess who abuses it the most? The government and aliens. All these people in the UFO world come out as speakers. Well, I'm an experiencer. You know what it means? Programmed. That's all it means. Doesn't mean they have any more powers, any more gifts, or they brought back some truth. They didn't. They believe they're better, but they're programmed. They don't know what really happened on the ship when they were taken. The show I did with Tina Bird, she's been abducted most of her life. And she has the proof in every which way to prove it. But the government and people, doctors and scientists aren't even caring about who she is. She's radioactive. And we proved it for 2 years already. She even just put another Geiger counter. But she has all the symptoms of radiation poisoning. She's always sick, always in the hospital. And they're doing all these things to her. But they never say what really is happening. You read her story. It's a book. It's 90 pages. It's an incredible truth story about what happens in abduction. When you hear stupid people say, well, I want to be on a plane. I want to get on a helicopter. Oh, well, how about getting on a UFO? Oh, yeah, I'm going to get on a UFO. That's what I really want to do. Why? You think they're coming down here to give people pleasure trips around the universe? Your body can't deal with it, first off. And what do you think you could offer a person from another reality, another universe that's 10 times more intelligent than you are, or even 100 times more technology than you'll ever have? Well, I saw a cartoon, or I watched this. What can you teach them? Truth about a real God. But how many people can do that? None I know. I'm still listening to everybody out there. Donald Walsh, Conversation with God. I challenge him anytime I see anything he writes or puts up. So I'll send you my book. I said, no, I don't need to read bull. You don't talk to God. God doesn't come into hell to talk to people. We're ignorant to God. Until we get into the higher realms, we're useless to God. See any people doing anything really? Well, I saved a person today. Well, we saved one child while we blow up a city. That's how mentally disturbed and retarded, wrong word, sorry, sick we really are. Well, I want to kill. Really? Most people want to see it happen. And that's why movies make so much money when there's multiple killing. You know, we didn't move forward in 100,000 years. Atlantis was here about over 100,000 years ago. Then we had the Sumerians and different things came later. And the Anunnaki people, well, they weren't spiritual ever. God is the only thing that creates. anything good, probably for a good word. Man is trying to become God, cloning now, mixing. They're cloning an entity that soul has to step into, right? You're not creating soul. Whatever they want you to believe, they cannot create that. It can't be created or destroyed either way. So they can only move it around. Barbara Messiniak put a book out, Bringers of the Dawn, and she explains that. Many years ago, she wrote that book. She's out in left field right now, but when she wrote that book, it was incredible because she was right on. If you know anything about soul leaving the body, how it goes from this realm to the next, into the astral plane, and how come some souls don't do it or can't. Karma is a real dangerous word, especially if you don't know what it is and how it works. But these people that will lecture to you will give you the biggest stories that you could imagine. Oh, think of money. Remember when, what was that? Not positive. I can't even think of the title of the book, but it was How to Make Money Become Rich. Well, that person that was involved with that did a sweat lodge, if you don't know what that is. It's kind of like going into a steam room with a bunch of people. And he took a bunch of people in a teepee made out of plastic and had a fire burning, and gases were being released inside there. 10 people had to be taken to the hospital. 4 people died. And this is, quote, making money. Really? He was brainwashing these people. Oh, we're in a higher state now. No, they weren't. They were dying. You know, people confuse reality, truth, with whatever lie they were programmed to believe. I mean, if I tell you over and over, you have to burn yourself to get to God, and you start feeling like, oh, I'm getting closer to God. I'm getting closer to God. Well, you know, we have twisted truth. But, you know, the human race is sad. Out of what? How many? 8 billion people on the planet? 85% of them are starving, homeless, and poor. And we got what? 3% that are super rich. And then the rest are the workers that pay for everything else. And you want to vote for who? Trump? You know, people have to say brain dead. Well, maybe it's not on their own. If you know anything about the HAARP system, HAARP, what it does, what it can do to a person anywhere on the planet, what you're using it for. Jesse Ventura went into the White House when he was doing his TV show and talked to people in there. Why'd you create it? What do you do with it? Well, we weren't sure what we were going to do with it yet. But they found out a lot of things they're going to do with it and are doing with it. And now the newer weapons they came out with, all aspects of what Tesla gave them a long time ago. So, when we talk about speakers again, where do we touch? The government, when a government person comes out, right now, and this is ridiculous. What does every person that's online, TV, say? Donate, support. Money. What's money got to do with it? You know, what's sex got to do with it? What's money got to do with it? Everything in their mind, but nothing to do what they're going to do or teach us or help us with. Raising money. Well, I can't win if I don't get more money. There should be, and this is showing how sick people are in government, there should be one set number of money given to each one of them, one set amount of time given to each one of them to be on TV, to do their lecture, whatever they want to talk about, and that's it. Not getting millions of dollars from some rich asshole that gives them all this money to be another person running the world. Really? Now, to show you the differences, I followed Putin for a long time. My good friend, not a good friend, but a friend, spoke Russian pretty good. And he goes, you got to listen. Putin's giving a speech today. And in the speech, this was 3 or 4 months, I'm not exactly sure, what he said on Russian TV. He said, Mr. Trump, why would he say Mr. Trump? I want you to tell the world what really happened at 9/11. Nobody knows today. But he said, he does. He said, I'm going to release it if you don't. But he said, I want you to tell the world what happened at 9/11. He's talking to Trump, not president yet, on Russian TV. And then he said, I want you to tell them what you're really doing with the alien races. And then Mr. Putin said it. We are working with 27 alien races, which is a number, a real number, because people in the UFO world that I knew lectured about that work for the government. But 2 of them want to destroy the planet. Now, why would he say that, and how would he know that? Think about it. Mr. Putin, the richest person on the planet, saying that. Musk has no clue. He's, I hate to say, he's pretty much out of it when it comes to the truth about aliens and that kind of stuff. But Mr. Putin then said, well, the 2 that want to destroy the world, we're fighting. You know who they're fighting with? The United States. We have been fighting with aliens for a long time. That's why Mr. Truman said we need a group of people to keep this quiet, not to tell everybody what we're doing, but to protect the world. And it's the world consciousness before the world population, how we want to word it, before the singular, meaning we have to take a few people out here and there, but we got to keep it quiet. So, guess what? They were created MJ-12, who is still in power today. In Congress, when Stephen Jerkio came out and said, blah, 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 Congress says, well, we don't take people out. They don't take people out. I'm not going to go into the right words. You know what that means, right? Well, I lost 16 of my best, 2 of my best friends, but 16 people that I knew good were all taken out in the UFO world. Why? Take a wild guess. They can't let the truth out. And the UFO people don't talk about the most important UFO events that ever happened in the United States alone. And Roswell wasn't one of them. It was maybe number 10, 20, somewhere around there. It wasn't the top 3. I mean, there was 3 ships shot down. And the native people took one of the aliens and moved up to the mountain for almost 9 months. You hear that story? Well, that person I was with, I went on a vision quest with that person. He was almost killed. Black car in front of his house ran him over and broke almost all his bones in his body. Then, that wasn't enough, because he was still trying to talk about UFOs. He was brought and brainwashed. Seriously. Robert Morning Sky. All right. I did this journey with him. I went on a vision quest, and I realized what was going down, because he challenged me a year later. On my friend and I were lecturing around the United States, and he came on me, "What, you can't talk about that?" I said, "What are you talking about? You can't say this. I'm not going to let you do your workshop." What? And this is a conference, a weekend conference for global sciences, for real. And then he walked away. And then this big guy who we were started talking to, he goes, "Well, I'm an ex-FEMA person." And he showed this black box on his belt, and it's got little lights blinking and stuff. He goes, "Oh, this is so they can't track me." He hands me a card, a business card, with a cylinder disc on it, like, "Just stick this in your pocket." Stuck it in my pocket. I look over, and there's Robert Morning Sky leaving. There was about 6 of them. They were all dressed in black, packed up into suitcases, and leaving the hotel at night. He was supposed to be doing a workshop the whole week, right? They all left the hotel. And it said, I pulled up the card, it says protection against all negative energy. And it said aliens and vice versa, but I didn't need it. But he gave me that card, and I looked at it, and I said, wow. But he really left. But people, they had that kind of energy to put in a business card, and I'm talking in 1997. For real. Can you deal with the truth? Do you want the truth? Do you want to listen to all these people going on and on about, oh, it could be, oh, it must be a real UFO, maybe. Maybe they're people from China, maybe they're people from Japan, and all the other stories. Demons are here, entities are here, and they all play games with us, unless you're protected. And how many people really talk about that kind of protection? Not too many people. Well, I think I went long enough today. I'm sure you're bored if you're still here. Please send this link to every so-called speaker that you know if you can. I'll debate them live, online, offline, anywhere. Because they're all bullshit throwers. Sorry, people. They're all liars. They have no clue what they're talking about. No realization of what lies in the higher worlds that God created for us. What happens when you die. Why aliens are here. What they really eat. What you're here for. What you're supposed to be doing while you're here. Again, nobody speaks about that. Oh, you're going to become a doctor. Or you're going to become a lawyer. Or you're going to be a farmer. But what? So what? It doesn't help you become spiritually aware. Why raise cattle? So? You slaughter them and feed them to other people to eat and everything else. Really? That sounds like a spiritual path. Well, I work in a bar and I feed everybody to get drunk so they got and run over people. All the jobs that we think are even jobs are dangerous to the human race. Psychologists are a little bit different, but psychiatrists can give you drugs and make you take drugs. Psychologists just sit there trying to figure out who you are and understand themselves. They're studying people because they don't know themselves. Who's crazy? Who's not crazy? What does it really mean? It means you don't agree with the stupid laws that man makes. I mean, there's a certain limit to how far crazy can really go. Go around chopping people's heads off, something like that. But you don't agree with the laws that government makes? That makes you crazy? People, there's so much to learn in such a short period of time. You got a maximum of 125 years. You're lucky if you live to 80 or 90. And you're not even touching where you need to be in this moment in time. If the world gets destroyed in the next 6 years, what do you know? What are you going to learn from any path you're on that's going to help you survive where soul's supposed to go and supposed to do? How it's going to get there, where it's going to go, what's going to happen, does it have to come back, and all those kind of things. You have no clue. And these people out there talking about aliens being good, they have no clue. I was standing next to an alien. I was standing next to a Bigfoot. I dealt with demons and entities. I did exorcisms. I've been in all of it all my life. It's all real, but none of it is good. Sorry to tell you that. There's no good aliens. Well, there's always good and bad. Name the most spiritual person on the planet. And what are they doing for the world? The Dalai Lama? Oh, we all gotta be peaceful. Wow, does that help anybody? Or some other psychic, spiritual person, whatever. Send unconditional love. To where? To the moon? We're stuck in a program reality, people. Hopefully, you're going to take a step out of it. Look for the truth. Look for the lies you believe and live in, because they all are. Everybody that came into the United States was responsible for killing 50 million native people. And think it was okay. And they're talking about owning land. Who owns it? And throwing people off of it. And who owns the land? Native people don't believe you can own land. White man does. People, we're in hell. And someday you'll realize that. Maybe in another 20, 50, 100 lifetimes, say, hey, this place is pretty shitty. But until that happens, you're not going to take another step forward. My religion says I'm forgiven for everything I do. No, you're not. Are you standing before God? You're standing before Jesus, the real Jesus? Is he in your room saying, okay, I forgive you? And does he have the right to forgive you for that? You kill somebody? If you're a Christian and you're watching this right now, open Revelations and read it 3 times. I guarantee you learn what John said about sins. All the sins you cannot be forgiven for if you're a religious person. All right, people. Hope you got something out of today. Tomorrow I'm doing a show with Tina Bird, UFOs, and we're going to be dealing with that. Tune in. I don't do this for money. Seriously. I'm putting a book out to help women, not to make money. For women only. Hopefully it'll be out in 2 or 3 weeks. Keep my fingers crossed. It's all set up and going to Amazon right now and everything, so we'll see what happens. People, peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life, don't stop until you get it. But make sure it's what you really need. Till next time,